Hello musici, today we have a very interesting question from the Cantus Figuratus course. So we are in Cantus Figuratus chapter 4 and the topic is how the cat works. Let's see the question by Sergio. Coming from chapter 3, menstruation, and having understood it well, I'm having trouble understanding what cat time means and how it relates to menstruation. It looks to me that there was some correct way to use cat time alongside menstruation, but it doesn't seem to be mentioned in chapter 3. How are musicians of the 15th and 16th centuries using the cat time in the context of menstruation, or are they not using the cat symbol at all? Also, it seems to me that the misuse converted into common practice consists in musicians of the 17th century using the cat time to indicate they will beating the tactus minima down and minima up, while they shouldn't be indicating cat time and they should instead beat semibrevis up and semibrevis down. Is cat time an invention of early 17th century as a way to stop using the more complex mensuration system? The answer is quite articulated, because here in this course there are topics explained separately, but then all of those topics merge together. To learn more about these things, we have to move to chapter 6 about proportion, because the cat is something belonging to proportions. Now I show to you what I mean. We are here in the PDFs of chapter 6, and the cat time is nothing more than the so-called proportio dupla. So when we put in the tactus a figure which is double. So let's go to the example. Here we have all the proportions, and we have the dupla. The proportio dupla can be written with number 2 against 1, which means that now we put in the tactus the double of the figure, or with the cat time, as I wrote in this point. Cat arriving from something which is not catted. And when we will study segni contra segni later, here you'll see that between where they are here, this and this, so the circle with the cat, from the circle without the cat to the semicircle with the cat, from the semicircle without the cat to the circle with the cat, we have the proportio dupla, because here we put the semibrevis of 2 minime in the tactus, while here we put the brevis of 2 semibrevis. Here the contrary, the contrary, but I mean starting with the cat, here we have the tactus with the longa, a tactus which is not so often used, but is used when we have segni contra segni. So for example, two voices singing with two different mensuration signs. The first thing to understand is that the cat does not belong to mensuration but to proportions. So that's why we will talk better about this in the proportion chapter. But it's important to introduce the tactus, the cat before, because in all the exercises we do in our chapter 3 and 4, the cat is very common. So I needed to introduce this in chapter 3 and 4. But the cat is the proportio dupla, so which means that we put in our tactus a figure which is the double. If we are beating the minima down, minima up, we'll put semibrevis down, semibrevis up. Now, so this is about the cactus, the cactus, the tactus, not the okay. Don't confuse the cactus with the tactus. Now, the other part of the question is about the misuse converted into common practice. This is a very interesting topic, because you may say, but it's very weird to beat some Palestrina's music, for example, with the tactus semibrevis, so the alla brevis, even when we have the cat. This is true, and Adriano Banchieri says this very well in a certain point here, when he talks about this misuse converted into common practice. So, For a lot of reasons explained then in the course, these and these are beaten in both cases with minima and minima, minima. In the first case with the cut, a little faster. In the second case without the cut, a little slower. So, as you can see in a lot of music, let's see if we have an example here by Baccusi. Okay, if we look where dissonances are, they are on the level of semibrevis and minima. So here the tactus semibrevis does not work. It's too fast, too much fast. While in maybe another composition here, it's clear that we want semibrevis. With the tactus, we need brevis. We need semibrevis. In this case, we need minima. So, as you will practice in the related video, we have an entire rest of a longa. So, longa, two brevis, two semibrevis. In this case, 4 tactus. 1, 2, 3, 4, then la mil. No, because la mi la sol fa mi re, and moving on this way. Let's see if we have another example with the cut. Yes, in this case we are in Ockeghem. This is Ockeghem Agnus Dei. This one. So in this case we are in the 15th century. So the tactus is brevis of two semibrevis, because the cut here in this style is very important compared even in the same source all the other pieces. Here the cut indicates that the tactus is semibrevis down, semibrevis up. So let's sing the first line. This is brevis, semibrevis, semibrevis, semibrevis with a dot, minima, brevis, semibrevis, brevis. So it is fa, fa, re, ut, fa, sol, mi, re, ut, fa, mi, la, sol. Here, fa, mi, la, sol, sol, fa, re. This is a brevis. Pay attention because it's a ligatura. So again from the beginning. Fa, re, ut, fa, sol, mi, re, ut, fa, mi, la, sol, sol, fa, re, mi, fa, re, sol, ut, sol, and moving on this way. So yes, the tactus is the cut belongs to the proportions topic. With the cut we put generally semibrevis. Without the cut we put minima. But in the late 16th century, pay attention to the music. You have to consider all the context, because for example in Palestrina, Baccusi, in this style, the cut is the semibrevis of two minime, but a little bit faster. In ancient practice, here the tactus is clearly semibrevis. We can also understand this from a general view. If we have a lot of long values, it's more probable that we have to use the semibrevis. Here there are no semiminime, as you can see. They are mainly brevis, semibrevis, and minime. So the tactus makes sense this way. And this is very important at the beginning of a lot of composition, especially in Flemish style, where we have the first Kyrie in a mensura, another Kyrie in another mensura, so the Christe in another mensura, and the other Kyrie in another mensura, with even different tactus. Let's do another example, which is actually in chapter 6, because it requires to study proportions and how they work. We have the example by Josquin de Pré, Missa l'Homme. Here the beginning is this way with tempus perfectum and the dot, the prolazio perfecta, and the tactus is minima, semibrevis of two minime. here we have, and this is a very interesting exception, this Tactus, because of the prolatio dot compared to the other voices. Here we have to look to segni contra segni, considering all the other voices, not only the single part. The Christe is this way, with the dot, prolatio dot, of a minima of 2 semiminime, and the last one, the last Kyrie, is the same as the previous one in terms of the mensura, but you can even imagine a vertical line, even if it's not written, but here the Tactus says, okay, instead of putting the minima of 2 semiminime, we have to put the semibrevis of 2 minime, so the double figure. And as you can see in the original realization, here, instead of semibrevis, written semibrevis, we have the first note to be, so the last Kyrie, this one to be a longa. So you may say, why? Because we have to consider this Tactus, which is brevis of 2 semibrevis, and so the first note happens to be to have an entire Tactus, do, fa, and this is perfecta, yes. Probably what is doing is tying the first 2 notes, as you can see, because we should have a brevis, but here he wrote this note, which is a longa, the double actually, because we have the brevis in the place of the semibrevis. But here then do, fa, semibrevis become semibrevis, become long, brevis and brevis. Then these minima and minima, where, pay attention, here we have the alteratio because of the dot, so the second minima should last double, but these are other things, other topics. So and the second semibrevis, the second minima, so does not create any imperfection, because we have a specific grouping of the alteratio, and we can do all of this comparing it with the previous part, where in the third Kyrie we have the circle with the cut, as you can see. It's a matter of proportion. The topic is not so simple, but here you have a lot of examples where you can see that the first Kyrie is with a circle, the second Kyrie is semicircle with the cut, so it will be faster, and the last one is with the circle with the cut. The circle and the semicircle are the mensuration, the cut is the Tactus. So the beginning is very slow. Let's sing the beginning. Re, fa, la, sol, fa, mi, re, mi, sol, fa, mi, fa, sol. Here, let's arrive here. Re, la, sol, la. The Tactus is faster because of semibrevis. So 1, 2, 1. La, la, sol, la, fa, mi, la, sol, la, fa, mi, la, fa, la, sol, fa, mi. So here, all these white notes have the same value in the Tactus of the previous black notes. And here we keep the same Tactus, but the grouping needs a perfect brevis because of the semicircle. This is how mensuration works with the Tactus. So to answer your question, yes, the cut is a topic explained in proportion. In general, with the cut, we beat something which is double than the regular, so semibrevis, the place of minima, putting a figure which is a double of the regular figure. But in late 16th century music, we may have another possibility, depending on the context, depending on the period of Palestrina, Baccusi, and look where is the dissonance, the level of the dissonances, if they are on the tied semibrevis, for example. So in that case, we are at the presence probably of that misuse converted into common practice. So sing it, play it with the tactus minima minima, but a little bit faster.
I have bad news for you. In the Renaissance, transcriptions didn't exist. All musici pratici, indeed, read music directly from the original sources. They knew how to read ligatures and recognize the correct values, brevis, longa, semibrevis, maxima. They could accurately interpret all the mensurations, perfect, imperfect, tempus, modus, prolazio. They knew how to beat the tactus in accordance with the mensurations and the proportions. So, modern transcriptions are unnecessary. Yes, they can be useful if you want to study the counterpoint and the vertical setting. But do you really have the audacity to claim you perform Renaissance music and are an expert, yet you don't know how to read the notation used by the Renaissance musicians? Fortunately, today you too can learn how to read white mensural notation directly from the original sources without relying anymore on any transcriptions nonsense. I've prepared an entire course of 90 practical lessons for you where I'll teach you gradually how to read figures and rests, how to correctly interpret mensurations in the ancient and in the modern system, how to correctly beat the tactus according to the mensuration and the proportions, how to correctly perform imperfect mensurations and perfect mensurations with all the rules of perfections and imperfections, how to correctly beat the proportions, even the most unexpected ones, like 5-3. How to correctly align the syllables of the text to the notes of the piece, and much more. 90 practical lessons, 200 pages of examples and exercises from the original sources, no transcriptions, only examples from the original sources. So, no more excuses to don't learn white mensural notation, sign up for the course, discover all the topics and the content. Purchase the course and start learning white mensural notation today. Click here.